Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Thank you very much to all the students and most intelligent people who have joined today's session. My name is Acyuta Arjunasakha. I'm a teacher at ISKCON and ISKCON Whitefield to be specific, which is in Bangalore. And it was very, very interesting to see all of you basically participate in the very nice business yoga session, which was organized by Dr. Vivek Bindra. And then because somehow we got connected in the process of registration, so we thought that we will take this journey further of extending our appreciation and understanding of the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita via some sessions like the Mantra of Life, in which we are basically discussing how to basically get practical applications from the Bhagavad Gita in a very non-sectarian way so that we can benefit and develop the best potential which we can. Just to give a brief about myself, I'm a teacher at ISKCON. I am a counselor also. I relish reading the Bhagavad Gita and I teach it to various schools, colleges, corporates. And apart from that, I also have a good amount of corporate experience. So basically I've seen, I have a good experience of life, that's what I mean to say. And I try to basically bring all that experience to my students via the subject matter of Bhagavad Gita in a very scientific way. And I try to speak the unadulterated knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, the science of Bhagavad Gita. In the process of teaching to my students, I often consider myself as a postman. A postman just delivers the letter. He does not changes the letter. He does not mixes any interpretation or adulteration in between. So before starting today's session, I'm going to take a moment off and I'm going to remember all my teachers who have invested so much time in me. And remembering the teachings which they have given me, I would pray that they may bless me so that I can pass that as it is knowledge to you. So I will just chant some pranam mantras. These are invocation prayers in Sanskrit for seeking blessings from the teachers. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Shri Mate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschati Deshitarine Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare. Thank you. And we will begin our session today, which is basically titled Discover the Inner Self. I will also share my screen so that you also have something to see. Please raise your hands if you're able to see my screen. Thank you. You can lower your hands now. So in this first session today, basically, we are going to basically discover ourselves, who we are. Now, one who has, we always have these concepts of IQ, EQ, SQ, and things like that. IQ means the intelligence quotient. But before that, there is something called as the PQ. Now that I'm talking to you, let me just make a personal connect. There is something called as the PQ, which is the physical quotient. You do some exercise and you keep your body fit. Even an animal can do that. Higher than PQ is the IQ, which we learn in the various schools and colleges, how to basically keep the intelligence quotient correct so that we can learn more, ultimately to earn more, and so on and so forth. But even higher than IQ is something called as EQ, or emotional quotient. how to understand to diminish your false ego so that you maintain nice relationships with everybody around you. You're able to influence them in the right way. You're able to serve them in the right way. That is not taught in the institutions as such. And even higher than EQ is something called as SQ, or the spiritual quotient, which is basically helping us to understand who we are, why do we exist, what is the purpose, why we are doing various things. Connection between the soul and the super soul, connection between man and God, that is called spiritual quotient. So when you have a good EQ, when you have a good IQ, when you have a good EQ, and when you have a good SQ, then you are called as a complete human being. So those who are interested in such topics, for you, those who are interested in such topics, for all of you, this session will prove highly useful. So again, share my screen so that we can continue the discussion. So today, what are we going to basically discuss? As you see, that there is a driver who drives the car. Car doesn't drive on its own. Even if it is a fully automated car, there is a person, there is a conscious thought process as far as the programming is concerned. There is a human being, there is a living entity which is behind that automated car. And therefore, as of now, there's nothing called as fully automated, and there will never be also. So the car is dead body. But when a human being or a living entity goes and sits in the car starts moving. Similarly, just like that, just in the same way, in our body also, this human body which we have, it's like a dead body. And the soul which is there, which is inside this body, is a conscious living entity, and it is making the body move. Some other examples are like, you have seen a gloves. A glove is like a body, and the hand which goes inside the glove to make it moving and living is the actual reason for which the glove exists. So it is not the glove that which is active, but it is the hand which is inside the glove which makes the glove active. Similarly, we may see big machines work like the JCB, which comes and lifts up or scrapes out huge amount of mud and soil from the land and then puts it from one place to another place. But it is not that the JCB is active on its own. The JCB has a small control unit in which a person is sitting, and that person is driving the JCB, basically. So this knowledge of relationship between matter, soul, and God is what we are going to discuss today, and this is going to create a big difference in our world and in the world around. And not knowing this knowledge is the cause of ignorance, and ignorance is the cause of all distress. So what we are trying to speak here is the knowledge of soul. So even before we study it, why should I study about the soul? We all are aware of the situation of the Bhagavad Gita, where we saw Arjuna, before he heard the Bhagavad Gita, he was basically, this is what he said, that my whole body is trembling and my hair is standing on the end, my bow Gandiva is slipping from my hand and my skin is burning. So Arjuna was confused. Arjuna was distressed. Arjuna was basically lack of goal, lack of vision, in depression, lack of motivation, so many things. But when Arjuna heard the Bhagavad Gita, what did happen to him? He emerged out victorious. So before Bhagavad Gita, confused, doesn't know what to do, lack of vision, lack of goal, lack of motivation, lack of enthusiasm. But after Bhagavad Gita, strong, determined, positive, clarity of goal, a winner. So what is it exactly that Arjuna studied in the Bhagavad Gita or listened into the Bhagavad Gita from the personality, Krishna? That is what which we are going to discuss today. And most importantly, which Lord Krishna discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, are one of the most crucial subject matters which Lord Krishna discussed in the Bhagavad Gita, was the concept of the soul. So, as it says, Arjuna heard the knowledge of soul from Lord Krishna, and that's why he became victorious. So, on that short note, I would like to show you what will be the contents which we are going to discuss today. We are going to see whether I am matter or am I a spirit soul. We'll see the scientific proofs for existence. Many of you are working in robotics, so we will see what is the difference between a living person and a robot. We will see what is the mechanism of the mind, how to control the mind. And finally, we will see what are the practical benefits of having this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita, of this knowledge of the spirit soul. What are the practical benefits which we can derive from it and we can implement in our life on a day-to-day basis, so that we progress in our life. We become better human beings, better citizens, better students, better professionals, better sons, better daughters, and so on and so forth. So, am I matter or am I spirit? This is something which has always amused everybody. Matter is jada and spirit is chetan. Matter is unconscious, spirit is conscious. It's very difficult for people to understand this. For example, something which has a spirit soul, it has three symptoms. It has perception, mental activity, and the purpose. For example, when you see a snake on the road, so there is a perception which happens to you. You are a living body, you are conscious. What is the proof of your consciousness? The proof of your consciousness is that when you see a snake on the road, there is a perception about it. That perception is, oh yeah, there is a snake here. First thing could be, is it a rope or is it a snake? Then your intelligence guides you, no, it's not a rope, it's a snake. It can be dangerous, it can be fatal, it can kill you. So that's the first step, perception. Second step is mental activity. Mental activity means go away from it. It can fight. What are the measures which I should take now? Probably I should move away, or probably I should do something about it. That is the mental activity which is happening. You see a snake, that's perception. Some thought, some memory is there in your mind, which is like a database. It throws out those ideas. That's the mental activity. And finally, you take some action, purposeful action. Now, what is that purposeful action? Either you run away from there, or else if you are bold enough, you pick up the snake and throw it somewhere. Or if you are cruel enough, you kill the snake, or whatever it is. So these are the symptoms of a living being. Now, if this is a laptop on which I'm talking, on which I'm presenting right now, if the snake crawls over the laptop, what is the laptop going to do? Is it going to have any perception? No. Is it going to have any mental activity? No. Is it going to have any purposeful action? No. So the difference between matter and spirit is that this spirit has some perceptions. Spirit has some mental and intellectual activities. Spirit soul takes action, but that which is matter doesn't do all this. Okay, so let's go in a little bit detail. Am I matter or am I spirit? It's a very, very basic question. If we ask someone, who are you? And they'll basically tell, my name is, just giving an example, I don't mean to point out to someone, they'll say, my name is Amit from the southern part of India, and I am an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor. I'm an Indian, I'm an Australian, I'm a German, I'm a Nigerian, I'm a man, I'm a woman, I'm a boy, I'm a girl, I'm a cat, or I'm a dog. This is the kind of identification which we have. But is this our real identity? Now there's something called as mechanistic science. According to that, let's see the definition of the body. So there is this doctor, Dr. Harry Monson, professor of anatomy, Illinois College of Medicine. You can all Google it. You know what his definition of body is? He says, human body is mostly made out of water, 5 pounds calcium, 1.5 pounds of phosphate, 9 ounces of potassium, 6 ounces of sulfur, sodium, 1 ounce magnesium, and less than 1 ounce of copper and iodine. So basically, this is what we are. Put everything together, we are around 110 rupees worth. This is called mechanistic science. They don't understand the highest picture. Just analyze the body like this. Now, let me ask a basic question to all of you. I'll always be moving like this so that I can make a direct contact with you. The basic question is, according to this mechanistic science, you and your entire body or your entire existence, let's say in general, costs 110 rupees. And let's say if you are driving a Mercedes car, which is worth 30, 40 lakhs. I don't know the updated price. People can tell me later about it. If you meet with an accident, then will your friend first take you to the hospital, or will the friend take the Mercedes car to the garage first? It's what obvious. Your friend will leave the car wherever it is, and they will rush you to the hospital and try to save you. But why? According to the so-called science, your body is worth rupees 110 only. So why should one bother to take you to the hospital instead of taking the 130 lakh rupees car to the garage and getting it repaired? So this means that there is something within my body which is more valuable even than the Mercedes car. So what is that? Different universities have different departments. But I have till date not come across any university which has a sole research department where they discuss, who am I? As I said, if we ask someone, who are you? They say, I'm an Indian, I'm Australian, I'm German, I'm Hindu, Muslim, Christian, man, woman, fair, dark, tall, short, engineer, doctor, whatever. Cat, dog, man, woman. But nobody says that I'm a spirit soul. However, in our daily activities, we often act, or unknowingly we act in that direction. That knowledge is embedded inside us that we are not this body. However, when we fail to understand this with clarity, then our actions, they are in the wrong direction. And that leads to so many miseries. Just like if a fish starts thinking that, okay, I'm seeing so many animals roaming around the land, let me also jump out of water and roam around the land. That's very unnatural for the fish. And if the fish tries to do that, it will suffocate itself to death. So similarly, when someone does not have this knowledge of soul and the existence of soul, then what they will think that I am this body. So therefore, they will try to do everything which is good for this body. But even after eating nicely, sleeping nicely, mating nicely, defending nicely, which are the basic 4 needs of the body, still people are not happy. So this is what we are going to try and understand in today's sessions. So the point to be noted is that we are someone really bigger or someone much more valuable than this body. I'll show you now an example of someone, a very famous actress who left the body very recently. Everybody would love her, everybody would. She had various fans. But then as soon as she died, what happened? If life comes from chemicals, if I am just this body, according to the mechanistic science, worth rupees 110, then after death, the body is there. But why? Even for certain hours in the body, the organs can be transplanted. For certain hours in the body, even the chemicals are a little bit the same. But still, why there are no feelings with that dead body? Nobody is thinking. There are no desires. There are no movement, and there are no consciousness. There is a tree on which nice mangoes are growing, but if you cut the root of the tree, the chemical composition of the tree is the same. We know, Dr. Bose has already proven that the tree is a living entity. But still, as soon as you cut the root of the tree, why do birds stop coming and sitting on that tree? Why does the tree stop growing the fruits? Why don't the leaves grow anymore? Why don't the flowers come anymore? So that means there is something much deeper than the body, which is within the body, which makes the body very valuable. See, it's a very, very common experience that when one is alive, his family members and relatives and society members, everybody will come and ask him, how are you? Are you fine? Is everything all right? And then they will say, okay, yeah, everything is okay, not okay. However, the moment the person dies, within 5 to 6 hours, that entire relationship of thousands of years or maybe hundreds of years is forgotten. And immediately everybody, the smell is so bad and the condition is so bad, they immediately cremate the body. Either they burn it or they bury it, or in some cases they throw it. So it is the soul which is important, which has some value, and which makes the body valuable. For example, you see some people have very nice hair on their head, and they spend so much time coloring that hair, gelling that hair, maintaining that hair. People go to parlors and spend thousands and thousands of rupees on hair. But if the same hair, if it falls in your food, will you appreciate it? It's the same hair. You've been taking care of that hair since like 40, 50 years now, and you've spent around lakhs and lakhs of rupees. But if the same hair falls in your food, why don't you appreciate it? The reason is that as long as the soul is there in the body and the body is there in the presence of the soul, everything is valuable. But if the soul leaves the body, everything becomes useless. There is no beauty. That's why I've put the title as living beauty. Many people like to watch fishes in the aquarium, red, blue, green, orange, white. But imagine if you see an aquarium where all the fishes are dead, they have fallen on the ground. When the fishes are alive, you can sit watching it. Fish watching you can do for hours together. But if all the fishes are dead, what will you see? You will not see. So therefore, point to be noted is that you are not attracted to the beautiful actresses or actors or the people or the fishes or the birds. You basically, the soul is attractive, which is attracting you. So another example is that it's the presence of the soul which attracts the attention, or it's the presence of the soul which basically makes a difference. For example, you may be walking in some market, and in various shops which sell clothes, there will be various fabricated men and women on which they put the clothes, and they put it in the shopping windows so that everybody can see, okay, this shop has a new cloth, new shirt, new pant, new XYZ. But nobody takes those models or those caricatures very seriously. Rather, they are more worried about what is happening on the road, who is moving here, who is moving there, what is this man wearing, what is that woman wearing. That is what we see. Why don't we see the caricatures in the window shops? Because we know that there is no soul in it. So therefore, it has no value. So therefore, we don't pay any attention to it. The point which we are trying to say, that when the soul is there in the body is attractive. But when the soul is gone, even if it is the same body, it is no longer attractive, it has no value. So it's very, very safe to consider that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. So therefore, the Bhagavad Gita says, Na jayate mriyate va kadachin, nayam bhutva bhavita va na bhuyaha, ajo nityah shashvato yam purano, na hanyate hanyamane sharire. Very, very important point. For the soul, there is neither birth nor death at any time. This is to be understood. That for the soul, there is neither birth nor death. So then what we see every day, someone taking birth, happy birthday, some people are dying. What is that which is happening? The answer is very, very simple. You see, soul, it's passing through the various bodies. So what is the difference between the body and the soul? The body is made out of matter. The soul is spirit. The body is not conscious. The spirit is conscious. The body changes. The spirit or the soul never changes. The body is temporary. It takes birth and it dies. But the soul is eternal. It keeps passing from one body to another body. The body is dead. If my soul leaves this body right now, 1 second this body is termed as dead. The soul is alive. I I can prove it to you in a very, very scientific way that you are a soul and you're not this body. Medical science says that every 7 years, all the cells of the body, they also change. 7 years ago, the cells which you had in your body, they are not the same as what you have now. Suppose if you are 35 years old, then you have already changed your body 5 times. But why do you feel that you are still the same person? When I was 5 years old, I was doing this. When I was 10 years old, I was doing that. When I was 15 years old, this is my memory. When I was 20 years old, that was my memory. When I was 30 years old, this happened. When I was 35 years old, that happened. Although my body, according to medical science, according to the mechanistic science, my body, which is worth 110 rupees, has changed 7 times. But why do I still feel that I'm the same person? There is something within this body. My mind has evolved. My intelligence has evolved. My body has changed completely. The senses have changed completely. When I was a small child, I didn't have these spectacles. Now I have these spectacles. So in every way, I have transformed, evolved, metamorphosized, but there is something within me which doesn't change. That's why I still feel that I'm the same person. What is that thing? That is called as the spirit soul. So therefore, we have to understand that we are not this body. We are the spirit soul. Arjuna was earlier thinking that, okay, I am this body, and this body is related to those bodies. And if I kill those bodies, then I have no one to enjoy with, and so on and so forth. Arjuna gives various reasons not to fight. But when Krishna enlightens him with the science of soul, by which he understood that birth and death are not in the hands of anybody, and one has to simply execute their duty, and therefore he understood that nobody dies and nobody lives, it's just the soul which keeps changing the bodies, then he became equipped with the higher divine knowledge to execute his duty as a statesman, to execute his duty as a Kshatriya. So moving on, hence proved that you are not this body, you are the spirit soul. You take a mirror, and when you see, it is not you. The thing which you see in the mirror, that is not you. You are the Atma who is residing. This is a very nice image I found, so I just put it here. That you are the Atma or the spirit soul, and that is the real driver of the bodily car. This body which you have, now there are various kinds of body. There is the body of celestial beings, there is the body of the demigods, there is the body of amoebas, there is the body of the coronavirus, there is the body of a blue whale, there is the body of an elephant, there is the body of a human being. There are various kinds of bodies. Yantra. Bhagavad Gita calls it as yantra. Brahmayan sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. Bhagavad Gita tells in the Krishna tells in the Bhagavad Gita that living entities are my separated part and parcels, and assuming various bodies, they are wandering around this entire universe. So it is not me. I'm not a human being, basically. I'm just a spirit soul who is having a human or who's going through a human experience. Now, based on the laws of karma, based on the laws of material nature, which we are going to discuss in the future sessions, at the time of death, in a very, very scientific way, my next body will be decided. But even if I change myself into another body, that doesn't mean that I change. I essentially am the spirit soul. So the point which I'm trying to say here is, from material point of view, we feel that we are bodies, we are made of matter, we are no more than a chemical bundle. Everything is finished at the time of death. This is what people understand. But that of course, we feel that we think like that when we are thinking materially, but from spiritual point of view, we are not this material body. We are the spirit source, which is encaged in the material body. And we do not die in the material bodies. Just like if you like to drive a cycle and if you drive it a lot, what happens? After some time, the chains will give up, the pedals will give up, then the brakes will stop functioning. And then you will ultimately throw that bicycle away and you'll buy a new bicycle. So similarly, the soul does. Now, why did you buy a new bicycle? Because the desire to drive the bicycle is still there. The desire has not become satiated. So therefore, you ended up having another cycle. So similarly, I will explain about this in the future sessions, how the desire for material existence is the root cause of material existence, or the desire for material enjoyment is the root cause of material existence. We have desires, and those desires force us to take various bodies. And when this body becomes useless, then the soul takes up another new body based on the thought process which the soul had at the time of death, and based on the karmic bank account or karmic reactions which it has or generated over series of lifetimes. In a very, very scientific way, the next body is decided. This is the science of transmigration of soul, which I just gave a little bit hint, although in detail we will discuss later. So, just as the bird is trapped in the cage, the soul is trapped in the body made up of 5 elements. And not knowing the real identity as the soul, people spend all their life polishing the cage, pampering the body without feeding the soul. There's a very famous story that there was a cage and there was a very nice parrot, but the owner of the cage always kept polishing the cage and didn't feed the parrot. So ultimately the parrot died and the cage became useless. So similarly, we have to understand that we are not this body. We are the spirit soul. Just like if if you have a driver who's driving the car, then that driver, for the car you put petrol, for the car you put air, for the car you put water in the radiator and so many things. But you can't put the petrol in the driver. For the driver, there is a different kind of food which is needed. Similarly, for the bodily existence, we need all this eating, sleeping, and so many other things, food, etc. But for the driver of this body, that is the spirit soul, we need a different kind of nourishment. So the classes which you are attending today, the discussions on this science of spirit soul, the discussions related to the spiritual subject matters, and the classes which you are going to hear tomorrow also, these are the food for the soul. There is a food for the intelligence, there is the food for the mind, there is the food for the body, there is the food for the soul also. So the classes which you are attending now, the experience which you are going through now, that in a sense is the food for the soul. With this, I would like to conclude my discussion that whether I'm a matter or spirit, I think we have successfully, we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. And we also saw some evidences from the Bhagavad Gita. And we also saw some evidences from our practical day-to-day life, where we ourselves, we are convinced that we are not this body, we are the spirit soul. Now now that we have tried to understand or scratch the subject matter that we are not this body, let's try to understand the scientific proofs for the existence of the spirit soul. So, what are the scientific proofs for the existence of the spirit soul? Very common, very, very basic it is. Number one, we'll prove it in 4 different ways. Number one, via common sense, we'll prove it. We will understand that the soul exists through consciousness. We'll discuss near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences. And finally, we will look into some reincarnation research to understand that there is a soul which exists. Common sense. When a person dies in front of us, we say that he or she has passed away. The question is, who has passed away? The body is still there. I made a normal, what can I say, inquiry. I asked people of 30 different languages, kindly tell me, how do they say that a person is dead? To my surprise, in all the various 30 languages, which were from 30 different parts of the world, in every language, when a person dies, they say, he or she has passed away. Nobody says something other than this. But the question is, where has that person passed away? The person whom we are talking about is still there. I'm saying my father has passed away, my mother has passed away, my dog has passed away, my cat has passed away. But where have they passed? I can still touch the body is here. Where have they gone? The answer is, actually the soul has passed away. So via common sense, we already know that we are not this body, but we are the spirit soul. However, very abnormally and very artificially, we have forgotten the spiritual aspect and we are continuously acting on the bodily platform. Spirit soul needs different kind of nourishment. When the PQ, IQ, SQ, and EQ all are properly taken care, then someone feels accomplished. But the problem is people are only worried about PQ and IQ. EQ is thoroughly ignored and SQ is completely forgotten. So therefore people, even if they become sometimes people say, I want to become happy. Okay, so how to become happy? Let me become most beautiful. Let me become most rich. Let me become most strong and influential. Let me become very intelligent and have so many degrees and have the most amount of knowledge. Let me become most famous. These are some so-called flickering happinesses on the bodily platform. But we have seen that people, even after achieving all this, they are not happy. Why? Because they have ignored the spiritual quotient or the spiritual aspect of their existence. Second point is that even by consciousness, the body, as I already said, the body has no consciousness. Living being, it has consciousness. You can program camera and put it somewhere. It will say, I see red light. But if the light changes, again, the camera will keep saying, I see red light. You can program a robot to say good morning. And even if you are coming in the dead of the night, the robot will still say good morning. Your computer will still say it. Of course, there are some advancements. People are very fascinated with the subject matter of artificial intelligence. However, I don't call it as artificial intelligence. I better choose it to call, I'm also a computer graduate, I know. So I choose to call it as borrowed intelligence, not artificial intelligence. A group of subject matter experts, they get together, they put all their know-how in that paper, in a piece of paper. All that know-how is combined together and feeded in the form of code into some machines. And whatever is the limitation of that accumulated borrowed know-how, that is the so-called borrowed intelligence of that particular object. And if there is something which is beyond the accumulated knowledge which has been fed into it, then the machine is useless. However, that is not the case of the human being. A human being is conscious. It has feelings. It has memories. But this is not the case with the body. So this is another proof that the soul exists. As I said, the place where the soul is, you'll have some perception, you'll have mental activity, and you'll have responsive actions. A camera can only do as much as it is programmed, or a machine can do as much as it is programmed. But a human being can perceive, mentally process, and responsively act in infinite ways which is even beyond the imagination. So that is another proof. Through common sense, we saw that soul exists, and through consciousness also we can prove that the human body is aware, thinking, feeling, willing, but the dead matter is not. Another proof of the existence of the soul is the various documented cases of near-death experience and out-of-body experience studies. The Medical Journal of Current Problems in Pediatrics, it says that 11 to 14% of the average American population who are mentally and physically healthy have had out-of-body experiences. Michael Sabom, you can just Google out this name. He says that enough research in NDE with impeccable scientific credentials. He has documented more than 3,000 cases of near-death experiences where someone sees, okay, basically all the experiences are something like this. They see that, okay, there is a body which is lying in some critical medical condition. And then medically, the body is inactive, or maybe in some cases even dead. And some procedures are being done. The brain is dead. The heart is dead. There's no way that the patient can know what is happening. But then all of a sudden, the patient comes alive. And the patient tells, okay, I saw myself from a different angle. And I saw that all of you were operating upon me. I wandered around. I saw what's there in the next room. I heard your conversation. Now, medically, it is impossible. The brain is dead. The heart is dead. But still, the person has this out-of-body experiences where the subtle body and the spiritual body of the person comes out of the physical gross body and observes various things which is unexplainable by medical science. And I'm not saying just hear and say, I'm talking about documented cases which are mentioned. And these documentations, they're very, very nicely, you can just take this name, Michael Sabom, and I'll give you another name, Surgeon Bigelow. You can just look into all these books and see. And as I've mentioned here, there are so many books. It's not just a myth. I'm not just telling you something from the Bhagavad Gita. This is happening right now. Go and check it out. Another very, very famous, Ian Stevenson, Carlson Professor of Psychiatry, University of Virginia, has extensively investigated 3,000 spontaneous reincarnation memories. And I've given you the Wikipedia link and the link to his papers also. What is reincarnation? Punarjanma. We have sometimes heard in the newspaper, there is a very famous professor in India called Deep Kapadia, who basically tells what has happened to him in the previous life. But how is it possible that? Did anybody wonder? Deep Kapadia, a person, in his previous life had a different body. In this life, he has a different body. There is no connection biologically or even in terms of DNA in between the two bodies. That body is decayed. The earlier body is either burnt, buried, or decayed. And this is a fresh new body. So what is that thing which is common between body A and body B? That's the question. What is common between body A and body B? The answer is spirit soul. There are so many books on reincarnation research. Again, I have taken some photos of some books. This Ian Stevenson, all these books, by the way, are written by Ian Stevenson, who is a great scientist in one of the most renowned universities of the world. But I'll tell you what, Ian Stevenson, although he has written so many books and he has done so much research, he has not come to the perfect understanding of how soul transmigrates. The missing link is that he has not studied the Bhagavad Gita. If he just picks up the Bhagavad Gita and matches the research which he has done with what Krishna has said in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he will come to the perfect conclusion, and therefore his scientific papers will become more authoritative and accurate. Because Ian Stevenson, in most of his papers, he agrees and concludes and accepts and confesses that there is so much which he cannot understand and there is so much which we cannot do anything, because these are beyond experimentation. These are beyond our senses. We are dealing with spirit soul. We can't even see the spirit soul. We can only see gross bodies. My body is gross. So things which are gross, we can see. You can't see my mind. I can't see your mind. You can't see my intelligence. I can't see your intelligence. You cannot see my false ego. I cannot see your false ego. So things which are subtle cannot be seen. And subtler than these subtle things is the spirit soul. So we are dealing with things with which we have no access only. But all this knowledge is given in the Bhagavad Gita. So, moving on, we proved in various ways that the soul exists, even through the near-death experience and the reincarnation research. From this reincarnation research, we can understand that there are some phobias which people have. These phobias are also coming from previous lifetime. For example, if a person has drowned in the water, then in this life, they will have a natural fear from water. In the previous life, someone has been murdered, then in this life, they will have a fear of bladed weapons and other such situations where things, and if in previous life somebody has been shot, then in this life, naturally, without even any revival of memory or any situational crisis, naturally they will be afraid of firearms, etc. Another segment of reincarnation research is the concept of twins, with a great difficulty on this photo, but I'm presenting it to you for your consideration. Difference in the temperament of the twin proves the existence of the spirit soul. Please hear. Difference in the temperament of the twin proves the existence of the soul. Medically speaking, what are the twins? Twins is basically one cell which has split into two parts. Same DNA genetic material, one single cell, which was probably destined to become one child. But that, when it splits into two, they come out as twins. Now, even though these twins are identical, born of the single egg, the same genetic material, but if you see many of you in your classes or in your houses or in your neighborhoods, you must have had many twins around you. You will see that although they are very similar in various ways physically, but still their temperament, their choice, their nature, their behavioral patterns, everything is different. Why? The DNA is same. The egg which formed the two bodies is the same. The father and mother are same. The womb in which they were brought up is the same. Then why do they have different natures? Why aren't they also the same personality? The answer is that two different souls entered these two eggs and therefore created two different bodies. Although they are genetically identical. However, because two different souls are there, so therefore they are two different personalities. So this also proves, this is also a segment of reincarnation, and this also proves that the soul exists. So now I'm going to show you a small video that there is a case of reincarnation happening, and it's very nicely documented. And it's not just that it is happening in the Western part of the world, it is happening all over the world. Here is another reincarnation research. We're just trying to prove scientifically that the soul exists, by the way. And there is a case study by Dr. Ian Stevenson again. And then there is a small girl called Shukla Gupta, and she's just 5 years old. And then once she remembers that she stayed in a place called Bhatpara, and then she would take some dolls and put them in the cradle. And then she would call the doll by the name Meenu, because Meenu was the name of her daughter in the previous life. So the parents said that anyways, this child is saying so much, let's go and find out one day. And then they actually went to that village, and then this 5-year-old girl was leading the way, and saying, let's take this left turn, let's go to that right turn, and then my house is there. And then she went to the house of Amrit Lal Chakravarti, who was the father-in-law in the previous life. And then she recognized her previous house. She recognized this 5-year-old girl. She, in a remote village, she's recognizing her previous house. She's recognizing her previous husband. She's recognizing her daughter-in-law and brothers-in-law. She also said that the name of my husband is Haridhana Chakravarti, etc., etc. And then she also said other details, like there is a trunk in this house. On the top of the trunk, there is a small box in which I have kept a red sari and a blue sari and a yellow sari. And then everybody was so much surprised. How does she remember so much? She was even able to tell the nicknames of the real names of her brothers-in-laws. The point here is that is a different body which was there in a previous life, and this is a different body which is in the present life. The common thing between them is the soul. So by common sense, by consciousness, by near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences, and by this reincarnation research, we conclude scientific spirit soul exists. This is the same thing which the Bhagavad Gita says. Even the scientists, the famous scientists, Benjamin Franklin says, finding myself to exist in this world, I believe that I shall in some shape or other always exist. He is hinting, I will never die, I will just change my bodies. John Adams says those souls who revolted against God were placed here to transmigrate through various species of animals, birds, reptiles, etc. This is direct knowledge from Bhagavad Gita. And most importantly, Socrates, the great philosopher, says, I am confident that there truly is such a thing as living again, and the living spring from the dead. Now we will quickly see what is the difference between the living person and the robot. Are you all with me? In case if you have just some questions, you can just note it down. The point which I'm trying to explain and discuss is that is man not just as powerful, or is man not just a powerful computer or robot? One place I saw that there was a robot was scheduled to do some aarti in front of some scientists have made, serve the motors and the robots like that. But what is the difference? Am I just a powerful computer or a robot, or is there a difference between these powerful computers and robots and me? One of the best example is drama. So there is some drama which is going on. The camera is watching it, as well as the judges are watching it.
Tell me what to do.
So the lens in the camera, which is watching this drama, has no experience. But the eyes of the judges which are watching, they are getting some experience. The lens in the camera, although it is recording it in HD, 1080 or even higher, but it has no emotions. But the judges who are seeing in this drama, they are getting some elation, sorrow, anger, etc. They are having the emotions. Similarly, this camera is having no consciousness, as I explained earlier. But these judges, they have perception, they have mental activity, and they have responsive action. That means they are conscious. And the camera cannot judge. We need to have real world people to judge various performances and the dramas which are going on. So therefore, these real people are able to judge. So now I think it's very clear what is the difference between a machine and a man. And a machine has no experience, no emotions, no consciousness, and cannot take any responsive action. So hence prove that man is not just a powerful computer or a robot. Man, soul, and the camera is dead matter, which has been made to work efficiently by the touch or by the intelligent touch of a spirit soul. Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, whom you see on the right-hand side of a very famous journalist approached him and he said, Swamiji, I think our body is just a complex machine that gets worn out and crashes. Why should we bother about some soul powering the body? Srila Prabhupada replied, you think that the body is just a complex machine, just like your car or your computer, then please tell me, your car is also a complex machine. Does your car grow? Does your computer grow? Do you have something called as a male car and a female car which can unite and produce a baby car? Like if you have a laptop and if you have a desktop, then you combine it together and then you'll get a palm top. Is this possible? Dead machine cannot reproduce. But the spirit soul who is moving around in a body can reproduce. So a living body undergoes 6 kinds of changes. It is the soul which makes the body living. So to conclude this discussion, what are the major differences between the living body and a robot? All living body undergoes 6 changes, while the matter only dwindles. Male and a female living body can multiply similar species. Machines cannot reproduce by union. And living body has consciousness, thinking, feeling, and willing, while matter has no consciousness. Now I'm talking about the 6 changes which happen. If in any body you see these 6 changes, then whether the body is moving or not moving, you can conclude that the spirit soul is there. What are these 6 changes? Very simple. We are a living body or a body which has soul in it. That body takes birth, grows, does something to maintain itself. Then it produces some byproducts. Slowly it starts dwindling. Ultimately, these are the transformations, the 6 changes which are happening in all the bodies which contain a spirit soul. Now you ask yourself, is your camera or your phone or your car or your watch going through all these things? Now, there are so many people say animals don't have soul. So let's cut the animals and eat them. But we see that the animal also is taking birth. The animal is also growing. The animal is also maintaining itself. The animal is also producing byproducts, dwindling and death. So therefore, we conclude that every living body undergoes these 6 changes. However, a robot or a car does not go through these 6 changes. This is the difference between a living body and a machine. Last topic, or the second last topic, is mechanism of the mind. It is a very, very important topic. I request all the students who are still there in the class to kindly pay attention. We have so-called advanced in our scientific fervor, and we have done so many achievements. We have controlled all the animals in the jungle. We have controlled all the cars on the road, but we have failed to control our mind. And that is why we are miserable. So mind control is very important. So before we understand how to control the mind, we need to understand the mechanism, how the mind exists in our body. Now, the soul, there are three kinds of body. First is the gross body. As I said, the body which we can see, touch, feel, that is called as the gross body. The gross body is made of earth, water, fire, air, and ether. Earth is the material which the body is made. There's water in the body all over. Fire, the Jatragni, the fire in the stomach which digests all kinds of food stuff. Air, there is various kind of, those who are into various kinds of pranayam, etc., they will know that there are 10 different kinds of air in the body. The Ayurveda talks about Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. That Vata section is called as the air. And then there is ether, or the open space inside the body. Krishna is talking about these concepts in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. And after the gross body, within the gross body is the subtle body, which we cannot see. That is made of the mind, intelligence, and false ego. The gross body and the subtle body combine together to make the material body of a person. It says in the Bhagavad Gita, Bhumir apo analo vayu, Bhumir apo analo vayu kham mano buddhir evacha, ahankar ityam me bhinna prakriti rashtadha. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, mind, intelligence, and false ego are my 8 separated material energies, my dear Arjuna. So there are many people who just talk about mind control and things, and they think it is spiritual. Actually, spiritual, Krishna is saying that even the mind and the intelligence and the false ego are all material. Spirit soul, or the spiritual body, is something much subtle, which is made out of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. Sat, Chit, Anand. So what is the question is coming that then what is the mind? So the mind is like a hard disk. It's like a database which stores the memories and experiences of various lifetimes. And the intelligence is like the CPU. Mind works on likes and dislikes. And the CPU, it has the differentiation ability. It does the intelligent decision making based on knowledge, facts, and figures. That is done by the intelligence. For example, if you are diabetic, and if a bowl of gulab jamun is kept in front of you, the mouth has started salivating. So the tendency which is within you, which says just go and eat it, that is the mind, works on likes and dislikes. Because you've had a previous experience that gulab jamun is very tasty. However, the voice which is coming from within that don't eat it. 30 seconds of pleasure and then 30 days of misery. Don't eat it. So the voice which is not thinking about what is good or bad, simply wanting to enjoy, that is the mind. And the voice which is coming from within, which is basically acting on reason and which is acting on careful thought process, what is right, what is wrong, what is good, what is bad, that is called as intelligence. But the soul is much beyond all this. It is Satchid Anand. It is eternal. Why? Because God is eternal. So the soul is the part and parcel of God. Mamai vamsha jiva loke jiva bhuta sanatanaha manashasthani indriyani prakritisthani karshati. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that all the living entities are my separated part and parcels. So God is eternal. So therefore the spirit soul is eternal, because the spirit soul is part and parcel of God. God has all the knowledge. So the soul also is Chit. It also has all the knowledge. And because God is completely blissful, Krishna is completely blissful. So the part and parcel of Krishna, like father, like son. The soul, by its constitutional position, is also very, very blissful. So when we realize our true identity, we often ask, who am I? I asked you this question in the beginning of the session. Who are you? If you recognize yourself as a spirit soul, then it will become easy for you to come on this spiritual platform of eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And once we come on this platform, then we will become fearless and we will be blissful. We will not be even afraid of death because we know what is death. Death is simply changing of bodies. So the gross body is very gross, and this, as we move upwards, it keeps becoming subtler and subtler. So what is the mechanism of this mind? The intelligence is the decision maker. The mind is the storehouse of all unfulfilled desires and previous experiences. And the five senses which we have, they are basically experiencing everything around us. Mind is processing it, and the intelligence is taking decision. Now we have to decide who is controlling whom. And for that purpose, I will give you this example of a chariot. This example is taken from a book called as Katha Upanishad. So you see, I'll take a pointer and I'll quickly explain. You see these 5 horses of 5 different nature, 5 different colors. The different colors imply different natures. And in each horse, you see that there is a different sense organ. Someone has the sense organ of seeing, smelling, hearing, touching, tasting. These 5 horses which are yoked to a chariot, they represent our 5 senses. And they want to do something completely different. The ropes which are attached to these horses, which is feeling the pull, which is feeling the urge, is the mind. The person who is holding the rope or the charioteer is the intelligence. This whole chariot is the body. And the person who is sitting in this chariot is the owner or the spirit soul. So this is the constitutional document of our existence. The body is the chariot. The 5 senses are the horses. The ropes attached to these horses, where all the urges and the pull is felt, that is the mind. But the person controlling the mind or the ropes is the intelligence. So now we have to take a call. If we allow the horses to go crazy, and if the person holding the rope is weak, then what will happen? An accident will happen. I will again just come out of the PPT and I'll try to explain you. If the person holding the rope is very weak, and if the horses are strong, then what will happen? I want to reach a particular destination. I'll not be able to reach that particular destination, and an accident will happen. The ideal situation is the person sitting behind in the chariot is ordering, take me to this place. And the charioteer is strong enough to pull the ropes and control the horses and make them reach the right destination. So therefore, if we want to reach the right destination in life, if we want to achieve what we want in life, the intelligence should listen to the spirit soul. And the intelligence should be able to control the mind. And using the mind, one should be able to control the senses. I repeat, soul is higher than the intelligence. Intelligence is higher than the mind. Mind is higher than the senses. So soul should control the intelligence. Intelligence should control the mind, and mind should control the senses. However, if this equation is not balanced properly, or if this is not happening, then what will happen? We'll meet an accident. If the mind or if the senses are too wild and the mind is too agitated and the intelligence is very weak, not able to hold the chariot ropes, then we'll meet with an accident. Very simple. Now the question comes, how to make the intelligence strong? Answer is by attending such classes, by listening to the spiritual discussions which are happening here, by reading the scriptures, by hearing the word of God, by associating with people who are spiritually advanced, the intelligence becomes strong. And when the intelligence becomes strong and it takes charge of the mind and it takes charge of the senses, then it will be able to hear the voice of the soul, which is coming from within. And then truly we will be able to understand that I'm not a man, I'm not a woman, I'm not an engineer or a lawyer or a doctor or a cricketer. I'm not an Indian, Australian, South African. I'm not a cat or a dog, but I am the spirit soul. So on this note, I would like to just conclude today's session. A little bit is left, just hang on. All this I've already explained. So what does Lord Krishna say in the Bhagavad Gita regarding mind control? He says, Bandhuratmatmanastasya yenatmaevatmanah jitah anatmanastu shatrutve vartetatmaeva shatruvat. Bhagavad Gita 6.6, for him who has conquered the mind is the best of the friends. And for one who has failed to do so, his mind will remain the greatest enemy. Now, the mind is always with me. Imagine if my mind is not controlled, I'm actually living with an enemy 24/7, 365 days in a year. Similarly, we have to practice self-restraint. For example, if I know that I have to study for the exam now, I have to sit and study. If I have to build something in a proper way, then I have to just focus on it and build it. So we need to practice self-restraint. Mind has to be controlled via the good usage of intelligence, via proper guidance. And therefore, in this way, the mind has to be put in right use. If we don't do this, then mind will create havoc. If the mind is controlled, it will be your best friend. If the mind is uncontrolled, then it will be your greatest enemy. So mind can be compared to a knife also. Knife by itself is not bad or good. Don't think that the mind is evil. And just like a knife is not bad or good, similarly, mind is also not good or bad. Now, if this knife is in the hand of a surgeon, it will save someone's life. But if this knife is in the hand of a thief or a miscreant, then he can kill with it. Similarly, our mind is like a knife. What goes inside comes outside. Garbage in, garbage out principle. If I put garbage inside my mind, then garbage will come out like that. However, if I put good things like the discussions which are happening in these sessions, then good things will come out. So the choice is yours. What do you want to put? Garbage in, garbage out, or good in and good out? These sessions, we are feeding good things. And where do we get our scripts? The books we read, the movies we watch. What is there in our mind? These things will go inside the mind. The books we read, the movies we watch, and the music we hear, and friends we keep. A very famous author called Shakespeare once said that if you want to know a man, just see the friends he keeps. By knowing your association, you'll come to know what kind of a person you are. You read nice intellectual books, spiritual books, like the Bhagavad Gita, you will become spiritual. You hear, I'm a guitarist, so I can tell you I have played all kind of thrash metal heavy music. But when I play some devotional music, that soothes me. We had some plants here. I used to daily play some nice devotional music in front of those plants. And there was another set of plants on my terrace. I used to play different kind of rock music in front of it. I could see the difference in plants also. The plants where I was playing nice devotional music, they were growing nicely, producing nice flowers. But the plant where I was playing rock music and other things, it was just giving thorns and basically dying. So these things, they affect us. So we have to garbage in, garbage out. So we have to very carefully control what goes in. The books we read, we have to selectively choose. The movies we watch, we have to selectively choose. The friends we keep, association matters so much. So we have to decide that very, very carefully. And similarly, the music which we hear is also very, very important. If we see dirty movies, then it will pollute our mind. If we see devotional movies, then it will purify our mind. If we hear rock music, I'm telling from personal experience, it will make us hyperactive. If we hear devotional music, it's going to purify us. Just like these habits which people have. These are some mental dialogues, advertisements. Mind is feeling, oh, I'm an engineer. I should know how to hold a cigarette at least. Smoking makes me feel cool. Generally how these smoking advertisements are there. One boy and one girl, one man and woman, they're standing in front of some waterfall. Very nice scenery, very nice birds flying. and they are smoking a cigarette and they are thinking, oh, yeah, I'm feeling so cool. But it's stupidity. You're actually swallowing fire inside your body. You are just artificially thinking that you are cool. Actually, you're not cool. So what does the intelligence say? No, that's a bad habit, not good for you. You may get addicted to it. Don't go into the wrong track. So this is the mental dialogues which are happening. Mind just works on likes and dislikes. Doesn't think what is good or bad. The voice which is coming from within based on knowledge, based on inference, based on conclusions, based on instructions that you should do this and you should not do this, that is called intelligence. So this is the mechanism of the mind. Now, the last bit of today's discussion, the smallest bit, but the most important bit. In every session, we are going to give these practical tips which will make your life happy. So what are the practical benefits of knowledge in everyday life? The knowledge which we just discussed, the knowledge of spirit soul. Number one, these are not just high lofty stuff. It will promote universal brotherhood. What divides us? Some people think I'm Hindu and I'm Muslim and they are fighting with each other. White versus black, rich versus poor, educated versus illiterate, beautiful versus ugly. These are the various things, bodily designations, which are basically dividing us. However, this is called as bodily consciousness. Somebody does not know the science of spirit soul. As spirit soul, we are all part and parcels of God. Then based on this bodily consciousness, they will fight with each other. So not having the knowledge of spirit soul will basically divide us. And what will unite us? I put some photos from the various temples of ISKCON, where you see Europeans are there, Chinese are there, the white people are there, and the black people are there. In 2016, we celebrated 50 years of ISKCON, and we did a very nice festival in Kolkata, where devotees from 125 different countries had come. That in itself was a world record. On a previous occasion, the Prime Minister of India had addressed to 105 people under one roof. So the temple president of that temple wrote to Mr. Narendra Modi, respectable Prime Minister of India, that see, earlier you addressed 105 people. It was a world record. Today we have gathered 125 people from different parts of the world, and we are out on the streets doing chanting and dancing, distributing prasad, and so on and so forth. We are thinking we have made another record, but we are knowing that you have this record. We just want some advice from you. Should we file another Guinness World Record? We don't want you to be offended. If you tell us not to go ahead, we will say that we have just 104 countries, not 125. And like that, something around these lines in a very, very respectable way, in order to give some information. A letter was written to the Prime Minister's office. And on the same day, the reply immediately came that, no, please go ahead. I, Mr. Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India, I'm very, very proud of all of you. What United Nations couldn't do, I repeat, what United Nations couldn't do, ISKCON has done. This is the real United Nations. People from different parts of the world, people of different genre, race, genetics, and thought processes, they're all coming together. So therefore, the point to be noted is that universal brotherhood is only possible when someone accepts a universal father. I repeat, universal brotherhood is only possible when someone accepts a universal father, and that is only possible when somebody has this science, or somebody knows this science of the spirit soul. Okay, moving on. Okay, this I've already explained. People from all walks of life coming together for a higher cause, knowing that we are not these superficial bodies, but spirit souls. Like the driver is different from the car. So if someone has this knowledge, then really world unity or universal brotherhood will come. If we have this knowledge of the spirit soul, then we will rise above inferiority complex. Just see, when somebody does not have this knowledge, they will think I'm black, I'm short, I'm ugly. Will anybody look at me? I hardly get any good rank. I have no talent in sports. I have come from a poor family. I don't know where I'll earn my degree and pass out of college. Life doesn't seem worth living because I'm not like any of those great heroes. Many of us, we have this inferiority complex. But if we have the knowledge of the spirit soul, what we will do? I'm not this body, but a pure soul with abundant potential. My defects are superficial and appearing in the body, but not a part of the happy, healthy soul. My heart is full of love, joy, serenity, and compassion for others. So that is how we can easily rise above inferiority complex, bodily consciousness to soul consciousness. Not just this, we will have a positive outlook and attitude to life. Yeah. We'll come out over selfishness. We'll have the wisdom that everybody is originally a part and parcel of Krishna or the Supreme Personality or God. Now they are covered up. I'm in the body consciousness. I'll see everybody is selfish. I should also become selfish. Because I'm lonely, I should make others also lonely and cornered. Become arrogant. I want to survive and grow in life, so I should become arrogant. However, if I have the knowledge of the spirit soul, I'll say, instead of blaming my friend for not being cooperative, let me learn to help him and be more kind and courteous with him. Then hopefully he'll change. Unless I set a good example, what's the point in demanding the same from others? Therefore, knowledge of the spirit soul will give you tolerance, patience, considering everyone to be potentially good. Again, we'll make the right uses of resources like money. We'll understand that money is not everything. We will use our money in service of the various creations of God. Just to summarize, we understood whether I'm a matter or am I a spirit. We understood that our body is not just 110 rupees worth. We saw that we are a spirit soul, and we saw that spirit soul is basically the unseen, just like the driver of the car is there. So spirit soul is actually driving the body. We saw some scientific proofs of existence of the spirit soul. We saw we proved the existence of spirit soul through common sense. We also proved it through consciousness. We also discussed near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences to understand the existence of spirit soul. We also saw reincarnation studies. We saw what is the difference between a living person and a robot through the example of camera and judges, major differences between living body and dead body. And we saw that the body which has a spirit soul, which is not like a robot, it grows, maintains itself, produces byproducts, dwindles, and ultimately dies. We understood the mechanism of mind. We saw that there is a gross body, subtle body, and the spirit soul. We also understood that there is mind, intelligence, and false ego, which is making the subtle body. We saw the chariot example, how the mind should be controlled by the intelligence and the senses should be controlled by the mind and the intelligence should be controlled by the soul. Then it is a healthy combination. We saw that GIGO principle, garbage in, garbage out, good in, good out. So we request everybody to be attentive and present in these kind of sessions. And then we saw the practical benefits of soul. If we have the knowledge of spirit soul, we will experience universal brotherhood. We will rise above inferiority complex. We'll have a positive outlook and attitude in life. Finally, we'll know how to make the right usage of resources. So with this, we conclude today's session. If there are any questions or comments, students can raise their hand. We can unmute you. You can ask your questions. I will also open the chat box now. So people can also put their questions in the chat box if they want to do so. Point to be noted is that we will take few questions right now, and those questions which we are not able to answer, we will get back either through message or through call. None of the questions will remain unanswered. However, first preference will be given to those people who actually want to interact, who are raising their hands, and we'll try to unmute them because that makes the session very lively also. I feel that from a long time, I'm just talking. So I also need some interaction. So first hand is Aditya. Aditya, you can unmute yourself, please. Aditya, you have to unmute yourself and ask your question in case if you have a question. Okay, we'll move to the next person. Manoj M. You can unmute and ask yourself, Manoj NM. You can unmute and ask yourself a question. Okay, I'm not sure if you have raised your hands to ask questions. Mamta M, if you want to ask a question, you can unmute yourself. We are giving you the control to unmute yourself. Okay, I think these hands were raised by mistake, I guess. Nikhil Tiwari, do you have a question?
Hello.
Yes, Nikhil Tiwari. Hare Krishna.
Yes. Namaste, sir. So I have written my question in the chat. I'll read it. Just as you discussed the constitution of the common people, that is gross body, subtle body, spirit, soul. Can you also talk about the constitution of the body of Krishna when he was incarnated on earth as a human being? When he was incarnated on earth as a human being. So first thing is, was he a human being? I mean, this may sound a bit funny, but actually this is a childish question, but I want to know. And if so, what the 8 components and how were the 8 components of Krishna? That is the mind, the spirit, was his body made up of 5 tattvas, the 5 mahabhutas, and was his subtle body made up of mind and intelligence? And you also said something like false ego. So again, very humbly, was anything like that associated with the human Krishna?
What
Again,
do you
this is
think?
just a childish question.
What
I don't know.
think?
I want to know. I
Okay,
don't think so.
Nikhil,
It's possible.
since this
I don't
question
think
is
so.
beyond the scope of discussion today, we are focused
Okay,
on fundamental discussion of the spirit soul. And since this question is beyond the scope of today's discussion, we will cover this in detail in the future sessions. But since you have brought up this question, let me answer you. But before that, you have to accept something, Nikhil. Nikhil, my dear friend Nikhil, you're asking a question. You're asking something which you don't know. Okay.
Definitely, I don't know about
If
this.
I tell you some things from the scriptures, then your responsibility is to accept it and further research upon it. Okay.
Sure.
First of all, you're asking something which you're not very sure of. So if I'll tell you something, you should accept it also, because I'm telling you based on some knowledge and authority which I have from what
Totally,
I've
sir.
my seniors and from what I've read in the Bhagavad Gita. The answer to, although your questions is not childish, it's a very, very fundamental question in the path of God consciousness. I'll quote a verse from a text called Ishopanishad. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnameva Vashishyate. There is no difference. See, human being has a gross body, has a subtle body, and has a spirit. But when when we talk about the supreme personality of Godhead, Krishna, there is no such thing as gross body. There is no such thing as subtle body. There is no such thing as anything else like that.
Even if he incarnated
He is
on
also
earth,
spiritual.
sorry, I interrupt.
Listen to me first. Please let me finish.
Yeah, sure.
Krishna's
Yeah,
body is also spiritual. There is no difference between the body of Krishna and the soul of Krishna. Everything is completely spiritual. Therefore, the various texts say that, for example, if you have to see something, you have to use your eyes. But Krishna can see, or God can see from his hands. God can see from his legs. God can see from his back. Inconceivable.
Okay.
There's no difference between God's body and God himself. God is absolute.
Okay.
The definition which I gave from Ishopanishad is very inconceivable. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam. It means God is complete and all the creations of God are also complete. Om Purnamadaha Purnamidam Purnat Purnam Udachyate. All the emanations which are coming out of God, such as these various energies, they are complete in itself. However, let's say if you have an apple, and if you take some pieces out of this apple, what will remain? Nothing.
Yes.
Spiritual understanding or the spiritual science says, Purnasya Purnam Adaya Purnam Eva Vashishyate. Even after you take many, many complete wholes, out of that supreme whole, what remains is the complete whole. So from
Infinity minus infinity equals infinity.
You can put it like that, provided you have a proper understanding what is infinity.
No, I don't. Sorry. Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. So you understand in spiritual science, there is God and God's name are non-different. For example, if you like mango, do you like mango, Nikhil?
Yes, I do. I like mango.
So if you start saying the word mango, 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 will you get the taste of mango in your mouth?
Not really. No.
You may just remember that mango smells like this, tastes like this.
Imaginary pleasure.
Yeah, it's imaginary pleasure. But if you start saying the name Krishna, 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 hey, like that, then you will experience Krishna. That is why we constantly recommend that one of the best, which I will talk in detail in the future sessions, that the best way to control the mind and the best way, just like when you hear a radio, you come to know what is happening all around the world. If you want to establish your connection with God, if you want to re-establish the connection with God, or rekindle the connection with God, then one of the easiest ways, there are many ways, but one of the easiest ways is to chant the names of God, which is Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. God has many names. Krishna is one of the names. So when we chant Hare Krishna, we are actually able to establish a connection with God, hence proved if there is any material name like mango, 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 more than 2 minutes I cannot say. But I have been chanting Hare Krishna from the last 10 years. And I know people who have been chanting Hare Krishna from the last 70 years. They're experiencing something, right? Without any experience, without any reciprocation, no one can continue doing something for a long time. Do you follow?
Yeah, I do. Because you are saying that Krishna is not a physical being.
Yes.
Different thing.
Abhinatvam nama naminam. Nama chintamani Krishnas Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddha Nitya Mukta Abhinatvam nama naminam. God is a personality. His name of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. The form of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. The qualities of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. And the pastimes of Krishna and Krishna are non-different. For further details, please read chapter 9, 10, and 11 and 12 of Bhagavad Gita. Thank you very much, Nikhil, for your.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for this answer.
Okay, anybody else has any question? Nikhil, you can lower your hand now. M. Rao, do you have a question? You can unmute yourself. We are giving you the control. M. Rao, okay, we'll lower your hand then. Ravi Tej, do you have a question? We are giving you the control to unmute.
Yes, sir. So
Hare
first,
Krishna, Ravi Tej.
Hare Krishna, sir. So I have two questions. So first question is like why everybody will not know about their previous birth? Like that is first question. And second one, so how we'll know like what birth we might take in our next life? Or is there any way to determine that?
Yes, yes. Both of your questions are answered in the Bhagavad Gita, Ravi Tej. Yeah. Both of your questions are already answered in Bhagavad Gita. I will just guide them to you so that you can go and read for yourself and get a better experience. First question was, why don't we remember what we were in the past? The answer is, if someone really remembered, suppose if you remembered the mother of your previous life, the father of your previous life, the spouse of your previous life, the experiences which you had in your previous life, the mistakes which you made in the previous life, the trauma which you had in the previous life, and the experience of death which you had in the previous life. If you really remembered all those things, do you think you would be able to live in this life? You would have gone crazy and mad by now. However, you and me, my dear friend, Ravi Tej, we have had desires. We have a desire to enjoy separately from God. We have a desire to become the Lord of everything that we survey. We have a desire to exploit the material energy of God. Therefore, we are existing in this material world. Now, nobody can exist in this material world without being in illusion. And if I'm remembering what I have done in my previous life, if I remember the pain which I have gone through, in the womb of my mother, when I was surrounded by blood, pus, urine, insects were biting me. If I remember the horrible pain of death, I have some materialistic desires due to which I am transmigrating from one body to another body, simply wandering all around this universe with a desire to do material enjoyment. And if God does not wipe out those memories, then I will not be able to enjoy. So just see how kind God is, how kind Krishna is. Although material enjoyment is something which does not help the spirit soul, but Krishna is very kind. He's giving us that facility. That, okay, theek hai, you want to enjoy. I'm telling you, there's no fun in it, there is no happiness in it, but still we said, no, I want to enjoy. So theek hai, okay, but you can't enjoy without being an illusion. So let me wipe out your memory so that you can be in a position of enjoying. Otherwise, you'll say that you sent me here in this material world, you gave me this yantra, this body, but you did not put me in the right illusory circumstances. Only a mad man will think, only if somebody is doing the job of a cashier in the bank, only a mad cashier will think that all the cash in the bank which exists is mine. So in order for the cashier to think like that, he needs to be in illusion. He needs to forget few things. So similarly, we are in a very, very stupid situation where we are trying to become God, where we are trying to become the boss of everything, where we are trying to become the Lord of everything which we survey, which is not possible. Because Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that he is the Supreme Personality. Bhoktaram yagya tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shantim rakshati. We want to forget that God is the Supreme, or the God is the Supreme Controller. We want to become Supreme Controller. So therefore, it is necessary for us to forget few things, otherwise we cannot function only. And your second question was, how do we know what are we going to become in our next life? Bhagavad Gita says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavitaha. Whatever thought process a person has at the time of death, he or she attains a body similar to the thought process in the next life. If I'm thinking about my wife while I'm dying out of love, then I'll become a woman in my next life. If I am thinking about the Rashtrapati Bhavan, I'm just giving examples. If I'm thinking about the Rashtrapati Bhavan, but the karma which I have done all my life is like that of a cockroach, then I'll become a cockroach in the Rashtrapati Bhavan. So the laws of material nature are very, very subtle and very, very complex, intricate. Based on the thought process which we have at the time of death, and based on the kind of culture or the practice which we have had all through our life, the karma which we have done, the karma and the thought process at the time of death, they decide our next body. I think we have, I hope I've answered your questions, Ravitej. For more details, read the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Hare Krishna. Aniruddha K, would you like to unmute yourself and ask your question?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna, Aniruddha. I'm very happy to talk to you.
Yeah, I had a similar question related to it. What if our previous life, at the end of our previous life, we actually realized the importance of getting into Krishna consciousness and always remembering the name of Lord? And if at all those memories would have been transferred to us in this life, it would have been, we would have entered this moment at an earlier period of time itself, right?
My answer to your question is, Aniruddha, my dear friend Aniruddha, we get what we want. I repeat, we get what we want.
Okay.
We had really wanted this life, so Krishna gave it to us. Now is the time. In this life, if we really tell Krishna that at my point, while I'm dying, I don't want to think of my wife, my husband, my property, my children, my parents, who is my enemy, who is my friend. My dear Lord, when all my sense organs and when all my bodily organs are, when my throat is choked, when I'm suffering the pain of 72 scorpions biting me at the same time, In that moment of misery, I want to think of you. I want to remember your name, your form, your qualities, and your pastimes at the time of death. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tejatyante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya. If I think of something material at the time of death, I'll get another material body. But if I'm thinking about Krishna, then I'll get a spiritual body and I'll go back home, back to Godhead, where there is no birth, no disease, no old age, and no death. Now, how to do this? Just like if you enter an examination hall and if you have not studied, magically you will not get all the answers. Similarly, one has to spend a lifetime of practice so that when the final exam called death comes, we'll be able to remember the Naam, Roop, Guna, and Leela of God. Having said that, point to be noted here is that if we have got this life, then it is sure we can safely conclude that we wanted it and we got it. However, if we are repenting that, okay, this is not the ideal situation, I'm a spirit soul, I'm Satchidanand, I just like a fish belongs to the water, I'm a spirit soul, I do not belong in this material world, I belong to the spiritual world. If this much realization has come, then we should spend, instead of worrying what happened in the past, let's just try to focus in the present and let's try to develop a Krishna conscious lifestyle, a God conscious lifestyle, so that we can successfully pass the final exam of death. I hope I've answered your question, Anirudh. There are many other people, so I'll move on to the next person. Chandrasekhar Mahanta. I have given you the control to unmute yourself. Can you please unmute yourself, please?
Yeah. Hare Krishna, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, my question was you may have heard about the Edgar Cayce and the famous mathematician like Raman.
Your voice is not very, very clear. Can you come closer to the microphone or can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, is it better?
It's better now.
Yeah. Like we have like studied about different people as well, like Edgar Cayce, and also like famous mathematician.
Not clear, Chandrasekhar Mahanta. Your voice is not clear. I will request you to type your question, please. Your voice is breaking. I'm not able to get it.
Okay.
Type your question and I'll answer it definitely. Okay. Are there any other questions, any other comments, any other reflections which you would like to have? Ravi Tej has asked the question, how to get mukti or work towards attaining mukti. Very simple. Lead a spiritual lifestyle. Just like if you want to pass an exam, you know what will happen in the exam and you have to prepare for the exam. Krishna says, Natad bhashayate suryo na shashanko na pavakaha yad gatvana nivartante tad dham paramam mamaha. He talks about the spiritual world. He gives hints about the spiritual world. He says that in the spiritual world, there is no need of sun. There is no need of moon. There is no need of fire. There is no need of electricity. We can't even imagine such a wonderful place. No need of sun, no need. That means it is self-effulgent. More than that, we cannot even imagine because we have no experience of it. And Krishna says, Yad gatvana nivartante tad dham paramam. Once when somebody goes there, he never comes back. Now when we go to our holiday trip, we are forced to come back. When we go into some so-called advantageous position, we are forced to come back. When we go to the moon, we are forced to come back. When we go underwater, we are forced to come back. That means we did not get shelter either on the moon or in the water or on the holiday trip or on the position of the chief minister's chair or the prime minister's chair. It didn't give us any shelter. So we were kicked out. But Krishna says, Yad gatvana nivartante tad dham paramam. Once somebody goes back home, back to Godhead, he has no obligation to come back. He never comes back. So how to do that? A, B, C, D. Associate with people who are having the spiritual culture in their life. B, read the books like Bhagavad Gita. C, chant the holy names of God. And D, have a nice diet, a Krishnatarian diet. Bhagavad Gita chapter 17, shloka number 8, 9, and 10. It will tell you what to eat and what not to eat. You can refer that. So if you can follow this A, B, C, D, you're on the path back home, back to Godhead. You will attain mukti or moksha from the cycle of birth and death. Nikhil Tiwari, you've already asked a question, but first I'll take a question of Chandrasekhar Mahanta. This is the last question which we will take for today. Like Edgar, I don't know how to pronounce this case. I don't know. Like Edgar Case and Srinivas Ramanujan, they have got the solution almost instantly for the problems they faced. So is it that the intelligence of God, so is it the intelligence or the God given them solution through soul? Also, how we can achieve this state so that we can contribute our society by solving the real problems of life? I really congratulate Chandrasekhar for asking this question, because this question is such a wonderful question. I'm feeling so happy in the core of my heart to get this question, because this question will bring out a very wonderful discussion. First, is it the intelligence or the God who is giving the solution? Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha Vedaischa sarvairahameva vedyo Vedanta krit veda vid eva chaham. He says, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto. I am seated as the Paramatma in everybody's heart. Mattah smritir jnanam apohanam cha. By my influence, Krishna, I mean Paramatma's influence, not mine, Krishna. By my influence comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. So from this line only we can conclude that whatever you are able to remember or forget or understand or process or perceive, everything is given by the Paramatma. And Paramatma tells it to the soul, and soul tells it to the intelligence. If the Paramatma decides that you should forget the experience of your death, previous death, if the Paramatma decides that, okay, you have to forget, because the Paramatma knows what kind of desires are there in your heart. And in order to facilitate you to fulfill your desires, the Paramatma knows that, okay, he needs to forget his death experience, he needs to forget all these traumatic experiences, he needs to forget the birth experience. Similarly, if the Paramatma decides that this person should forget all these theorems, then you will forget it. Please take note of this point, that intelligence is powered by the spirit soul. And spirit soul is powered by the Paramatma. So everything which we perceive, achieve, believe, and process is given by God. This is the answer to your first question. Second question, also, how can we achieve this state so that we can contribute to the society in solving the real problems of life? I'll not answer this question, but I will discuss on what are the real problems of life. Any problem which satisfies these three criteria are the real problems of life. Number one, if this problem is a universal problem happening to everybody, if this problem is something which nobody wants, and if this problem has no solution, then it is a real problem of life. Is traffic a real problem? Let's test it on these three benchmarks. Is traffic available universally everywhere? Answer is no. There are some parts of the world where there is no traffic. So therefore, traffic is not a real problem. Is poverty a real problem? I know some people who really want to become poor. What to speak of whether poverty is universally available or not, it fails in that criteria only. But even if you ignore the first criteria, I know some people who are struggling hard to become poor. So like this, whatever problems you see, poverty, diseases, corona, or traffic, climate, pollution, All these are not the real problems of life because they fail on these three criteria. The only problems which will pass on these three criteria are birth, disease, old age, death. Let's test the death on these three criteria. Does everybody in the world die? Is it a universal problem? Yes, it's a universal problem. Second, does everybody in the world not want to die? Yes, nobody wants to die. Everybody is afraid of death. They can just speak like that, but ask the doctors or ask the people who are killing the people, putting them on the rope in the prison houses and various places. Nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to die. Even the small child doesn't want to die, and even the old man, 90 years old, doesn't want to die. And lastly, is there a solution to death? No. So therefore, death is a real problem. Similarly, old age. Nobody wants to become old. They are forced to become old. There is no solution. No cream was there to stop old age. And of course, old age is not like people in India become old and people in Australia don't become old. So the real problems of life are birth, disease, old age, and death. And my dear friend Chandrasekhar, you cannot use your intelligence to stop this. Rather, let me rephrase, you cannot use your material intelligence to stop these real problems of life. You have to use your spiritual intelligence and understand that as long as I have this body, I will be forced to go through birth, death, old age, and diseases. So the solution is to achieve a spiritual body by the practice of spiritual culture. Only when we come out of the cycle of birth and death by getting a spiritual body, by the practice of Krishna consciousness, God consciousness, when we have a proper PQ, EQ, IQ, and SQ, and most importantly, SQ, because ultimately we are not these bodies, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, we are the spirit soul. So if we have a nice spiritual quotient, we have a nice God conscious lifestyle, then we'll be able to make solutions to the real problems of life, that is birth, disease, old age, and death. Thank you very much for this wonderful question. It gave me a lot of happiness. Hare Krishna. Someone who has not asked questions. Okay, Srinivas S. Can you please ask your question, please?
Hare Krishna, Guruji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you for letting me speak. My question is, I want to know what's in Bhagavad Gita from past 4 to 5 years, but I don't know how to, should I read the book or listen to some podcast, see the video, or how to do that one, like how to get that knowledge?
I'll give you a very, very simple answer. Just continue attending these sessions. If you continue attending these sessions, we will guide you, we will personally teach you, and we will make sure that you understand, learn, and apply the Bhagavad Gita in your life. Is that good enough?
Yes, Guruji. When is the next class? Next session?
Tomorrow is the next session.
Okay. After, is it like weekends or?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday, 12 to 1:15, like that. Thank you. M. Rao, can you please ask your question? And this is the last question of the day. After this, we will not take any other question. M. Rao, can you please unmute yourself? You have the control to unmute yourself, M. Rao. Okay, I think he, by mistake, raised his hand. So we will end today's discussion. Tomorrow, we are going to meet again at the same time and the same place with a very, very wonderful discussion. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram.